All right, well, let's just go through so you guys can remember all the stuff we went over yesterday. We went over the sales copy wheel. It's the center of all copy is the sales letter, the long copy sales letter. That's the most effective way of getting people to buy. Even in today's market, even though a lot of people will still fight on it, it is the most effective way because it covers all of the features and benefits. It overcomes objections. It sells for you while you're not there better than any other type of copy there is. So I believe that that is the center of what your marketing funnel is going to be. And then once you have that sales letter written, then you've got to drive traffic to it, and you're going to do that a matter of different ways: email, postcard, faxes, pay-per-click, voice broadcast, hard copy mail. There's lots of ways to get them there. Once you drive the traffic there, then you want to get them to opt in so you can keep marketing to them. So there's ways of doing that. There's a squeeze page. There's e-zines or blogs that get people to give you their email address so you can continue marketing to them. Give them a free report. Give them a white paper, a free e-course, something enticing for them to want to give you that information, because it's not, you can't get it as easy. You can't just say, I have a newsletter, let me give you my email address. People don't do that so much. So once you get the opt-in, then you can continue marketing. Because you often don't make a sale the first time either. Don't you guys agree that the first time you meet someone, it's not that often that you make the sale. So you want to build a relationship. Then you have order page, which all of these require copy, obviously. The order page, once they get to, they decide they're going to sell, and you get them on an order page that gives them all the information. Certain copy has to happen around the order page too. It's like an orbit almost. Once they order, you need to send them a confirmation email. You also have to have a landing page where they're going to go that tells them what they ordered. Like we were talking about, some marketers will have upsells right on that very page right when you order. They'll say, well, if you want this, how about that? So there's lots of options, a way to bundle offers, way to get people to spend more money with you. Testimonials can be on the order page. They should also, of course, be in the sales page and every place you can think to put them, because they're social proof and they get people knowing that you have helped other people. And if you're having a guarantee, pop it on there too. Then the follow-up, once you've got the order, you're not done because you want to keep that relationship going. So you want to have things like a stick letter. You want to have instruction on how to consume that product so it doesn't sit on the shelf. There's nothing worse than selling someone a product and then them never opening the book. So you want to encourage them to use that product. And you want to also ask them for testimonials, because you want happy customers that keep coming back to you and that preach to the world how wonderful you are. And upsells. You're always thinking, what's next? Whenever you sell something, what's next? So all of these, again, they all require copy. And testing and improving. This is a gradual process that happens over time. You want to check your headlines. This is a checklist of elements to test. Check your headlines, write several different ones, and pit them one against the other, see who wins, and whoever battles that, pit another one against it, and continually just try new things. You remember Perry Marshall yesterday was saying how something like a comma can make a huge difference in just a few words of text. So if it's something that subtle, you don't know, you're not going to guess what that is. So you've got to test it and work it out that way. And there's software, there's methods of testing that track that stuff for you, make it real easy. And you definitely want to measure improvement and keep track of it so you know how to get the best copy out there that you have. So that was one of the things we went over, the sales copy wheel. We went over the SOBOC, the scannability, opening, body, offer, and close. This is sort of deconstructing already written copy so you can study it. You tear it apart, sort of like if you were critiquing somebody else's copy, this is a formula that you would use. You're going to see how scannable it is. How effective is the opening? Is the body covering all of my objections? Is it covering exactly what I'm getting? Is it getting me excited? Do I want to buy it? And what is the offer? Is it pushing me over the edge? Is it making me want to click away and ditch? And the close, is the close tying up all the loose ends? Do I have any further questions? Is it one final push to make me jump off the ledge and push the order button? So if you use this formula and you have it laminated in your binder on one of those checklists and go through it to study how other people write copy, you can also use it to build your copy from the ground up, because when you know that this is the stuff that makes copy work, then you know that you're going to want to work that into your copy. When we're writing, like today and tomorrow, we're going to be writing the body, the offer, and the close, right? The opening we'll be writing tomorrow, and the scannability, you do that after. That's like the final touches. That's with formatting, that's breaking things up. I do it now as I go because I'm used to doing it, but the best way to do it is just write it all down and don't edit yourself. Just get it out there, and then you'll go back and you'll add that factor. So you're breaking it down when you're looking at written copy from the top down, so you can build it from the bottom up yourself. Does that make sense? So this is one of the workouts for your copy. This is one of the ways that you can get good at writing copy, and one of just the exercises you want to work with your little copywriting muscles. The other one is the swipe files. Keep swipe files of, articles. Yes, if writers write, do copywriters copy? Yes, I love that. It just cracks me up because it is so true. We definitely do, and it's not to plagiarize. It is just to get ideas, to see how other people lay things out, to follow the format of successful copy. You don't have to forge ahead new paths, because so much copy that's out there is already successful that will apply to your business, and it can be a template. So we're going to work on also, actually we'll take some copy from magazines and let you look through that when we start writing to get ideas and just to, stimulate you a little bit. So start collecting swipe files, your junk mail, magazines, things that appeal to you, print out websites that appeal to you, and you have my permission to save your junk mail and to buy the National Enquirer. Because those things work. Those things catch people's attention. The types pay really close attention to the headlines, especially in these. They're very pithy. They're very easy to absorb real quickly. And they get you into a state. So subscribe to magazines, keep them, buy them, and use them for your swipe files as well. But you don't have to keep the entire magazine. You can actually go through and rip off the areas that really appeal to you, or the long copy that's in the back, or whatever's in your target market. And then having the index cards, having them with you, having something to write notes on all the time is a good idea, because you never know when you're going to hear something. You know, that great presentation that John showed, it really was terrific, actually. I loved it. But that was all words. There were no graphics. It was copy that gets you into kind of like an emotional state. And it was as simple as it could be, black on white. And it just gives you a little chill. It can be very powerful. When you see stuff like that, write it down. And then, of course, read the masters. And I have the list here of some of my favorites. There's plenty of other ones. My very favorite one is Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz. That, to me, just is a great overview. It was written in the 60s. I love Dan Kennedy's stuff. I don't have that up here. But all his No BS books are really phenomenal. They're fantastic. But you just always want to be feeding your mind new things, and especially as marketers, we are all marketers, and copywriting is just one aspect of marketing, but it permeates every aspect of marketing. So you cannot isolate a piece of marketing that does not have copy in it. And all these are at twipress.com if you want to just peruse there and go shopping. And then I revealed what my speed copywriting system is. It sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? I mean, it's just a few little things. It's timing yourself, it's mind mapping, it's chunking the copy up, it's using your subconscious. But it works. It actually is kind of a magic bullet. I mean, it sounds so simple that it's easy to dismiss, but it really does work. And I have to tell you, I was writing copy over the summer for a client oh, Kathy. It's okay. Let's turn off our cell phones all the way. Someone's in big trouble. You know, when John Carlton was here, if you guys weren't here with John Carlton, he got a phone call right in the middle of his talk from me, and I said, "Go ahead and take it." And he took it. He was one of his copywriters. This is funny. He was the only one who had their cell phone on. So where was I? The speed copywriting system. Oh, yeah, I was telling you about a client that I was writing for a furniture product over the summer. And it was a really big project. They paid me a lot of money, and I hemmed and hawed for a long time to get started. And I couldn't get myself started, even though I know how to do this and I've been doing it. And I literally drug out my copywriting book from the last seminar, and I go, okay, this is what we do. We do chicken chunks, and we do the subconscious, and we do the mind mapping. Because sometimes as a professional copywriter, I confess, I just figure, I know this stuff. I don't have to start from the basics. I don't have to do the features and benefits stuff, but that's BS. It really... It's you do yourself such a disservice by not taking the time to do the nuts and bolts work. It made it so much faster when I just went through my own system. So I know it works. Writing using the subconscious. I actually personally get my best ideas sort of like at 4 or 5 in the morning when I'm kind of half asleep, not all the way awake, and I don't have, I think Linda was saying something like that too, that you're not out of bed yet and you're just kind of thinking, and there's nothing in the way to block me from saying, oh, you can't do that. There's not that little voice going. So I get some of my best ideas then. But you do what works for you. I like to think about what it is that I have to do the next day, kind of order it up, and then be ready to write my copy. And you have to make a plan for when you're going to write the copy, because I was saying I have to get up with my kids. I have to walk my dog and take them to school. I can't just sit down and roll out of bed and write copy. I have to make notes and then say, okay, from 10:30 to 2 or whatever my time is, I'm going to write. So you have to plan it. It doesn't just happen. It's just like with exercise. You don't just go, oh, I think I'm just going to go really make my body hurt and sweat, and because I know it's good for me, I'm going to go do that. You got to plan it and be mentally prepared. Just like copy, you have to be mentally prepared. And the chicken chunks, this is so big. It's really getting rid of all the distractions and really, really, really disciplining yourself to sit down just during 33 minutes. You can do whatever you want as long as you're sitting in front of your computer and don't have anything else on. You don't have to write. You can stare at the screen. But just discipline yourself to not check your email and to not get on the phone, not to do anything else. And you'll get so much accomplished. And I recommend stopping at 33 minutes. I don't always, I'll be honest with you. If I'm on a roll, I don't always, Thule. But it does help reboot you. And some of you were saying, too, like you'll take a walk or you'll just get up and get out of the office, you get out of your environment, and it just reboots you. Sometimes, John and I were at a seminar, and he knew, this is when I was doing that big project, he knew I had to write. And I said, I'm not going to the seminar, I'm staying in, I'm writing. And so I was laying in bed, and he goes, get up, you have to get up. And I'm like, I'm working. What are you talking about? I'm thinking right now. And so I was, you do have to get away from your environment, and it's just rebooting. That's the best way I can put it. It's like rebooting your brain. So that's why stopping is a good idea. If you're on a roll, you know you're on a roll. I'm not going to come smack you. So the chicken chunks are a big thing. The speed copywriting diagram, this is just chunking it up into stages. Instead of like looking at the whole letter, you're like, okay, we're doing features and benefits. This is what we're doing today, by the way, features and benefits, frequently asked questions. Then we're going to create bullets from those features and benefits and frequently asked questions. And the cool thing about bullets is you can use them in everything. You can use them on business cards and postcards, flyers. They're so prolific. You can use them everywhere because they're real, readable. They're going to have, you'll see as we create them, but they'll have a benefit that really connects with your market. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't take a lot of copy. It just takes the right copy. So that's what we're doing today, stage 1. Then stage 2, we'll actually be hitting a little bit of stage 2 as well. This is also kind of a mechanical stage with testimonials, the offer, the guarantee, the bonuses, and the postscript. You can literally not make it all pretty and exciting and write those kinds of things. That's why I call it just the mechanics of it. Then the next day, this is when we start getting into the flow and the massaging of it and making it more pretty and enticing. And that's with the headlines and the sub-headlines and the opening, which is very important because you want to get them reading into the copy. And creating stories, because people love stories. They don't feel like they're being sold. And that's one of the biggest things that now today especially, with so much coming at us, we don't like to feel sold. Well, we never do. But now we kind of think everyone's trying to sell us, and they are. But if you talk to them with stories, you can get past their barrier. And then, of course, my favorite, mind mapping. I just love this, and Christina did a great job of illustrating it. Thank you. There's the picture of it up on the wall, writing down your central idea, brainstorming, and then looking for relationships about different pieces of your copy, things that just may be a random thought, but you know it goes somewhere, but you're not sure where. And it's really helpful because it's not linear. It's circular. And we talked about research, a little bit about company research or doing research on yourself, and your customer research, which is your target. Did you guys actually name your targets? Everybody name them? You gave them names? Good. That's part of the fun. And it honestly does bring them to a different level of life. Now your next job is to find a picture of them when you go back. And we talked a little bit about competitive research as well. So knowing who else is out there trying to reach your target, and you don't want them to. Okay, let me go through. Before, is this the target? All right, the target is the target plus the market. Distill it down to one person. And remember, again, the reason we distill it to one person as one gender and one age is a specific character is because that's who we're talking to. It's not that you don't do business with 30-year-old men and 60-year-old women. It's just a matter of getting that conversational tone going. So that's why I want you to come down all the way to a target. And then I told you mine was Nikki Stanton, and Kyle brought up a great question, is that my only target? And for each product, for each service, that you have a different niche or a different angle, you want a new target. And there's Nikki.
Making a target the way that she's built this process, and I think I realized something standing at the back of the room. When you create that target, when she's saying that you don't necessarily only market to that type of a person, what you're building, when you have a conversation in the real world, you tend to have your best conversations with people you connect most deeply with. You're building that person you're having the conversation with. But if you're standing in a group of people, as we've seen here yesterday, you'll be talking to somebody, and somebody who's not that same type of person will become involved in that conversation. Like with the pillows, there was a huge demographic of people back here. You're creating a target that you connect with, and you're having that conversation, but the rest of the world also takes part when it's in copy.
Oh, nice. Stop. Wait, one second.
I think that's what I...
Wait.
The mic is your friend.
I think that's my aha, that what I first just zeroed in when I became acquainted with you on the internet somehow, is even if you're not, is that it's so appealing, that connection with a person, that personal connection is so appealing that even if you're not talking to me, if I see you talking in a connected way to somebody else, I want to hang out. I want to hang out with you.
Yeah, thank you. I think that is true. And especially in such a low-touch society now, it's hard to get that connection, I think. So thank you. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on that idea because I've struggled with this for years. Because I'm, as a health coach and a trainer, way back into my mind, I'm saying, well, God, I work with people who are 30 and people who are 60. Mm-hmm. Because the principles apply across the board. But what I'm getting is that I'm creating this conversation that's unifying my message so that it's not all over the place.
Perfect.
and then other people can join in that conversation and say, hey, this is relevant to me. You know.
I love that. That is for unifying the message. That's exactly what it is. It's so.
So
and
you're
then
not
you attract.
you're not pushing these other people away, saying I don't do business with you. You're just saying that you're.
Thank you.
Right.
So well said. That's exactly what it is. That's right. And it makes all the difference in the world. And it is about sort of the law of attraction. When people know you have your stuff together, they know you're helping so-and-so, then it perks them up. And they're like, oh, well, can you help me too? Even though I'm 30 years older than John, can you help me? And then you'll just say, yes or no. But it pulls you in. It pulls you in. That's awesome. Cool. Well, I just wanted to review over the blueprint again real quick, just to bring you back to this cool graphic. It's a really good, it's such a good visual, like if you get lost, to just kind of see where to go with it. The research aspect of it, we talked about that yesterday, but we also, you've done a lot of this on your own already because you know your company, you know who you're doing business with. But this is it's a real critical part, and identifying your target market is very critical at the beginning. You have to know who it is that you're addressing, what kind of language they want to hear, what their hot buttons are, what keeps them up at night, what are their problems that you can solve. You've got to know that before you go in and start writing. This is the 10,000-foot view, sort of. The headline that you see at the top, a bold headline, it's got to catch their attention. And the opening, again, the job of the headline is really just to get you to read the first sentence. That's it. And if it's got you to read the first sentence, then the job of that one is to get you to read the next sentence, and so on. That's the whole grease slide, the whole slippery slide. That's the idea. But you've got to start off right. You've got to start off with the bold headline, the opening. Stories are a great way. We're going to actually work on some of those. Just getting something engaged that's going to suck them in, that's going to magnetize them to you. And then you'll have subheads all throughout, sort of like train tracks. That makes it scannable. That makes them understand and what's going on through the copy if they don't read every single word right away. What happens a lot of times, is they'll scroll. All of us will scroll, and then see what catches our eye, and then go back up and start really reading the copy. There are statistics that say, I think this is from Dan Kennedy, reading drops off at 300 words, and then it doesn't drop off again for 3,000 words. So if you haven't got their attention in the first 300 words, they're gone, that's less than a page, by the way. And then they stick it out for 3,000 words. Now, he doesn't address the scannability aspect, and this does mean you're very targeted, that you would be interested in this product. If you're not interested, of course you're not going to read it, but if it hits you, then that's the statistic. So, subheads, boom, boom, boom. And address a problem at some point, because you're all in business to solve a problem. And what is that solution? It's you somehow. So when you're talking about the problem, don't be afraid to twist the knife, talk about the worst case scenario, how their life is really so bad until they have your problem. It's okay to do that. And it's okay also in copy to be a little bolder than you would in a direct conversation. Because you're not there, they can't read your body language, so it's all right to be just a little bit bolder. And some people worry about walking the fine line of hype. I understand that. We'll tweak that as we go along. But so go ahead, make the worst case scenario, show how you're the happy face solution, and back that up with testimonials that you've helped from other people. Show them the features and the benefits, which we're going to cover next, and get into their heads what the questions that are already going on in their heads, and address that in the copy: who, what, where, when, how much. And you can give them this stuff, this digestible stuff in bullets. The features and benefits and the FAQs, those will all be like kind of molded in bullets, and you can reiterate them in copy and in bullets. So it's okay to repeat yourself. It's sort of like in speaking, you tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them what you told them. You can do that in copy as well. Then, don't forget to ask for the order, but don't ask for the order until you've made your case. And then it's kind of wash, rinse, repeat. It's more testimonials, more bullets, click. More testimonials, what's the price, what's the call to action, guarantee, what's the offer? What do they actually get? What are the specifics? And guarantee if you have one, the call to action, bonuses if you're going to have them, and a strong argument in the PS, the last minute nudges to get them going. And then, of course, you get results, and you keep testing to see if you can get better results. So that's just a blueprint to keep in mind while you're creating. All right, does anybody have any questions or any comments about the stuff that we went over yesterday? All right, we got a couple. Where's my mic man? Mic man. Thank you. Raise your hand. Okay, thank you.
I'll take one of those. I just had one comment about bringing the chicken with you. Sometimes it helps if everybody actually breaks up where they work, and you might take your show on the road. I actually took pictures of me doing this at the beach near my house, where I took the chicken with me. I sent you some of those.
I love those. Yeah. I know.
And
tell them about the operating room.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, that was good. So, and my chicken made it to the OR. I didn't share this with everybody yesterday, but I have 23 years experience in the operating room, and so it's sort of my other life, and I teach what I do in the OR. So I brought my chicken to the OR. Actually, I drove them nuts because I was all the features and benefits of suture and drapes, and they were like, "What is wrong with you? You know, who are you?" You know, it was interesting. It's an interesting fusion of the two worlds. But anyway, so my chicken didn't work, and that's what started this whole thing. And I brought the chicken to the OR to fix it, and I did. But I bring the chicken with me, and I've trained everyone in my circle. Everyone that has anything to do with me knows about the chicken, and they're like, "Your chicken went off," or "When's your chicken going to go off?" or "When the chicken goes off, we can go out to dinner." It's interesting. You train the people around you to respect this boundary.
Like the chicken.
And it works. Yeah. So when I'm outside hanging out in the yard or whatever, and I'm just doing some work outside, and the chicken is with me, everyone knows that when the chicken goes off, then and it gives me permission that when it goes off, I can relax. I can do something else. So
thank you.
It's incredibly powerful.
Thank you.
And it's striking too.
So. It is elegant. It definitely is. I didn't really tell everyone the chicken story. If you guys don't know it, some of you probably don't know the chicken story, but it came about. I wanted to have a timer because time management is just critical in copywriting and in entrepreneurship, period. And it's so easy to just let it float away. And I have been one of the worst ones for time management until I started using the system and the chicken. And I was going to just have a regular kitchen timer because I said I want to give this to people and let them embrace it because it's helped me so much. And my husband, John, said, "Let's do a chicken." And I said, "No." What does that have to do with Red Hot Copy? A chicken? And so I started telling other people, okay, we're going to have a timer. We had like a group meeting. We're going to have a timer we're giving away. Oh, is it going to be like an animal, like a cow or something? And I said, well, I guess it's going to be a chicken because everybody else was thinking it should be something memorable like that. And Dan actually found these chickens for us. And I was really like resisting the entire idea. I was at a Dan Kennedy event, and John and this Dan had made up a prototype of the chicken with Red Hot Copy and FedExed it to me to Dan's event. And so I'm walking around Dan Kennedy's event with this like chicken and taking pictures with it with everybody. And people were just all about, how do I get a chicken like that? Ted Thomas, I don't know if you know, he's a big real estate mogul who would not give me my chicken back. It's, you know, it really gets people going. So I made up a whole story about it and about how this strange tribe of chickens was found off of the island of Hawaii, and I put real facts in there, so it was like a little like, what? And some people thought it was real, right? I didn't mean to say anything, but it was really cool. People were like, they found a new tribe of chickens, and I made it into this whole story like that it can only live with entrepreneurs, and it's going to be adopted out. So because they're very practical and they're very punctual, and they are only can thrive in the household of an entrepreneur. And I am giving out the adoption papers, and Angelina and Brad are not allowed to adopt them because they won't treat them right. They don't have the right qualifications. And so I started this whole story, this whole campaign, this whole sort of legend around the chicken. And I didn't share that with you, but it is because of Mr. Red Hot Copy that you have chickens. Thank you.
It's the Red Hot chicken.
It is the Red Hot chicken.
And she doesn't tell you, but Dan Kennedy actually contacted her, stumbled across the chicken campaign, and said, "This is brilliant. I did this like how many years in the past?" He had something.
I don't remember, but he printed me in his newsletter, and that was like,
it's like
cool.
Talk about something old that's come new again, and that was what his article was, is that he had done something very similar like 20 years ago.
Exactly.
And it's like, this was great, so it's
chicken.
strange
Enjoy your
things.
chickens.
Now, if you, like with any demographic, you've got some lazy chickens in the mix. So if you've got a deadbeat chicken,
sometimes it happens.
just see us and we'll replace it with a harder working chicken.
All right.
You want to take, there's a couple hands in the air. Do you want me to?
Oh yeah, please, let's do that.
I'll start close to me and then we'll
That's
go.
perfect. Sounds good.
You might cover this later, but at the end, when somebody's going to click on, yes, I want it, what if you have to kind of interview people, and if they pay up front, then, in other words, if you've got a course that's really definitive in terms of who gets in, and it's
so there's like an application process or an interview process.
Is there a difference in terms of how your sale ends up being? Because
No, because you're still getting them to take an action. That's the action you want them to take.
Is to do the registration.
Yeah, exactly. And when we start writing your copy, I'm happy to come over and guide you. Yeah.
It's also, if I can comment to that, that's not always a bad thing to do either. Some people are afraid to make an application. The reality is you're pre-qualifying the people you want to do business with in that sort of a model. It's like with the Platinum elite group, there's an application process, and it's because we don't want to take people in that aren't going to get, they're not ready, they're not at that point, and that's if you're a coach, oftentimes that's a very good and powerful thing to do, is to see where they really are at, because if the Platinum elite is not working for them, or if we don't think it's a good fit, then we suggest that they're in the Gold VIP, which is little down below that level. And so you have other places that you can put if you're a coach or you're a trainer. You have other places. You got a 30-year-old, top of the game 25-year-old training program, and a 60-year-old comes to you. You say, I've got just the program for you. It's not this one, but it's this one. Yeah. And so oftentimes that sort of approach it saves you a lot of grief, because we've had clients in the past that were not fit correctly, and you all know, you've probably had them. They're harder to work with.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to be certain that I'm developing the homepage letter today, and that's possibly more direct or possibly more obscure. I'm uncertain. So how do I approach that when I'm talking features and benefits? It's the sales that's going to lead to all these other programs and products. So,
what do you want your outcome to be on the homepage? They have to have one. Whether it's calling you for an appointment, whether it's signing up for an easing, whether it's something you want them to take.
The easing sign up will happen with the squeeze page before they ever get to the homepage. So by the time they're at the homepage, either they've been getting the easing, they like the tone, they like the ideas. Oh, I want to see more of what she's all about.
Right.
Can we extend this
Go for it.
conversation a little bit?
Sure.
I'm going to be rolling out with these tiers of coaching programs.
Okay.
And also developing audio home study courses.
Okay.
So in some ways, there's this opportunity to split. If to say to someone, if you prefer to do it all on your own, go here. If you like participating in groups, I'm uncertain how clear I have to be about that forking before I even start.
You can do that. Tom Antion, who's was one of my first mentors, and he's a speaker. When you go to his homepage, he sells info products for speakers, and he sells hire a speaker. Which one are you? You're not both of them, so which one are you? You pick that button, and you go down a whole new sales cycle.
Two separate
Yes,
sales
and
pages?
that's fine. Yeah, it's kind of like an airport, like John and I were talking about this yesterday. It's like a landing port, and that's okay because you want to give people ideas of what they're going to get. You can't just shove everything down. It's got to be planned where it is that they're going, and it's got to be appropriate to that audience.
So what I may be doing today is figuring out the sales page for all the programs, and then need to come up with that higher level short sorting page, and then at another point do the info products page.
That sounds good. I would pick one of those, though, definitely to focus on, and then you'll apply those principles to the other things. And if I could recommend, I would recommend focusing more on the sales page because the high-level split page is going to be super easy for you.
Thank you.
Sure. Tule.
Yeah, your landing page, one of the little things I came up with, because I think really weird, because I am weird, I'm also a misfit. That's why I like Perry so well. The landing page often can be sort of like an airport. You're there, you're going to go somewhere, and you make a choice as to where you're going to go. That airport doesn't fly to just one location. It flies to lots of locations. I've got to deal with John, and then I'll come back. Oh, I love adders.
Or Budinskis. There may be an assumption in your head also that you need only one domain or that you're going to have only one website. And you might consider having more than one, one for each product. It's scary at first, but it might make sense to do that.
That is very true. But it's also nice to have a portal, and Michael Port is coming to speak with us later, and he does a beautiful job of it. He's got 6 different products or pages that you go on one page, and it's very clean and very neat. You can look at his site as a great example. I always give it out as one of a way to go. And then you can have them send them to completely different domains and have that have a life all of its own, just how they get there.
I'd be real careful using a squeeze page to even let people, before they even get to the website, because that's your huge selling materials right there. There's all this content. And people, and also search engine spiders, need to see that content. And a search engine spider can't get behind a squeeze page because it's a form. And then you also could be losing clients because they haven't gotten a chance to know you. And you're saying, before you even get in, and with all the spam and everything, just be real careful when using squeeze pages because a lot of people don't trust them. So
yeah, it's a debatable thing, most definitely. And
I was so hoping somebody was going to mention that. There actually is a lot going on with Google and squeeze pages right now that I don't know a whole ton about, but I understand that Google is starting to de-index squeeze pages with, and it's not right across the board, but content seems to be a very large part of what they're doing. Let me finish up here, and then I'm going to move back around. John, does your thing have any... Does it add to this, or was it a separate thought?
It was a separate thought.
Okay, let's finish this thought.
Yeah, can I have a quick question about the sales page? Yesterday, we were looking at Ken Giddens on the pen.
Yes.
And it was a relatively short, fewer words. This is longer words. Are words shorter because it was a pen versus something like coaching or something?
Yeah,
is there a relationship between...
It's a great question. Here's the deal. That was like a brochure site. You wouldn't have like he had a bunch of different products. Like Dan, who does a lot of promotional products, he won't have a long copy sales letter for each product because there's so many things, but that's the difference. It's a brochure site. But it's a great question.
Back through the maze.
What happened to John? Oh, good. It's all part of your workout benefit.
I just wanted to mention this because with what Kat said about squeeze pages, Kenny was on the phone yesterday with Yahoo because we've had an enormously hard time getting our squeeze page accepted on pay-per-click for Yahoo. He had a very long conversation with them, and in essence what they said is combine the squeeze page with the sales page and have an opt-in on your sales page because they're going to get pretty well annihilate most squeeze pages on the internet because of exactly what Kat said. There's no content. And so he said you're going to have a lot of trouble with that. So he said make it easy on yourself, put them together and have an opt-in on your sales page.
Okay.
I want to just expand upon that because on Monday, Patrick Coffey gave an hour-long discussion about how you deal with squeeze pages with Google. And he said basically you treat it as you would a newspaper, above the fold. What you see first when you get there, the first screen, is your squeeze page. And then you want to create white space and then put the following links, and I'll recite them. Google's been very specific about what you have to have.
Oh, please
You need to have a sitemap link, which this starts breeding all these other pages. So at the bottom, below the fold, where your eye wouldn't first catch it unless you scroll down, you're going to have this chain of links. The first is to your sitemap. The second is index. The third is going to an authority site like Wikipedia or some other. So if you're into dog food, you might say dogs and take you to the dogs page on Wikipedia. The next is your privacy policy. The next is the About Us page. And the next is your link to the Contact Us. It doesn't mean you actually bring up what we think of as the window where you start typing an email. It's a window that says, and if you want to contact us, here's our business name, address, phone number, etc. Right. So each of those must be on the first place Google lands, plus content. So put a 300 to 600 word article below that. All that is below the fold. So unless someone scrolls down, all they see is a squeeze page, and they opt in, and they'd have the link then to go to what you consider your landing page.
Very cool.
But the Google search algorithm's looking for the first place it lands to have all of that. And they said they're pretty certain that that will sort it out for Google.
Great. And Patrick Coffey is a big wig. It's sort of, he's a kid, but he's a big wig in AWAI, which is the American Writers and Artists Institute.
I will tell you from personal experience, learn about this from professional people, Kat probably being among them. I've been working with Google on and off for some years, and I can tell you that what you just described is a revamp of an old trick we used to do with junk search engine pages that were generated. That little trick of above the fold and white space will quickly get erased. It'll work. It's a stopgap, but if Google follows suit, they'll quickly do that, because Google used to have a policy that you couldn't do anything like that below the fold. So it's interesting. What works today, and I guess that's one of the things I tell people when they want to get involved with Google AdSense. What works today, not AdWords, but with AdSense, what works today, you could pay thousands of dollars to be in a course, and a week later, everything you learned could shift. So if you're going to get involved with things like this, with squeeze pages, with what some people would call not completely white techniques, you know, they're like gray areas. Kat's shaking her head. Don't do those.
Worth risking your site.
Yeah, exactly. If you've got a legitimate site with a legitimate service, stand on your merits and let them opt in because of what it is that they read about you. The squeeze pages are being eliminated for a reason, and a lot of it has to do with, you know, the bad apples are now outnumbering the good apples. So it's, you know, Kat's solution is she's somebody that knows about this stuff better than probably most of us.
Squeeze page, if all your good content, if all your juicy content is behind that squeeze page, there are those two areas in the search engines, the pay-per-click side and the free rankings. Everybody wants the free rankings. If all your juicy content is behind a squeeze page, the search engine spiders are never going to find it, because they can't fill out a squeeze page form and then get to all that really good content. So I wouldn't hide your fabulous website behind a squeeze page. Use a squeeze page for other kinds of marketing, kind of like a landing page almost, that you'd use it depending on how people come in different areas, but don't hinder your website like that.
But if it's below the fold, it's still on the first page?
Usually you can't usually do much to just optimize one page unless you do some pretty serious spamming techniques. Oh. So a website has content, so the search engine spiders look at all the pages of your website and say, well, you know, for, what was the example you used yesterday? Purse Coach. So, you know, this site is about Coach, but it needs your other pages to figure out Coach Bus, Coach Purse, Mentor Coach, what kind of coach is this? So a single page, usually doesn't rank very well in the search engines. So it's great for advertising or quick kind of marketing campaigns, but not necessarily for search engine optimization.
And I want to add something real quick, or ask in front of Kate here, because she's going to have the answer to this.
We have Kate.
I'm sorry. We were going over this, just so I backstory this. We were going over this morning. We had Kit, Cat, Cat. We were going to create a table of just all of the sort of like make a zoo. This is all the feline table over here. So it's still stuck in my mind. Going back to what you were describing back there, I don't like having outbound links. I don't like it. I don't like going to Wikipedia, because they see that and they click off and you're gone. They've lost you. You've lost them and they don't care anymore. They're interested now in Elvis stories. If you're going to put an outbound link for that sort of a strategy, if you feel like you have to have that, see, spiders are they're only as smart as the people who made them. What we used to do as a trick is you can make that outbound Wikipedia link teeny, teeny, tiny, and it would follow. Not anymore. Don't do it. That's why that's why I do it in front of her, because, like I said, it's been years since I did it, but some of these old tricks seem to be coming back, and I was wondering if that would still work. Because we used to micro-link if it was essential for a spider to see it, but then nobody else could see it. Or, how about this? White font on white background.
No, that is so old.
Okay.
No.
Well, like I said, it's all old stuff, but I'm wondering if old came back.
No, it's those are very old search engine spamming tricks, and spam does actually work. There's all kinds of really good spamming, but the question is, how long is it until you get caught? And once you get caught, the people who spam do the churn and burn domain names. So they'll register 500 domain names, throw up crap content just to sell ads or do whatever. The site gets banned and they don't care. I never recommend that as a business owner you do that, because you can't risk your core business. You don't want to change the whole business all over again. So no hiding text, no making it super small. There are ways to do outbound links, because no website should be an island. An expert resource always links out. You just want more links pointing to you than you have linking out. But there are ways to do links from your own site so that the search engine spiders are happy, your consumers are happy, but really you're still keeping most of your own clients on your own site. So they're just ways of doing it legitimately. No, just never, ever hide things. The spiders will find you and catch you.
I love having experts in there. Okay, let's move on.
John had a comment, if he remembers now.
Yeah, just a little bit off topic, but back to the chicken.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing us back.
Something I understand. It's just interesting how the whole chicken model completely maps to the regeneration model of energy. Because the model I was talking about yesterday, how you fill up your glass when you sleep. It's a question of how quickly are you going to run out of water in your day. And as entrepreneurs, I work with entrepreneurs who don't want to trade success for poor health, fatigue, and an overweight body. Right. It's this incredible balance between keeping up, staying competitive, moving forward, and trading your health for it in the process.
Right.
So, the chicken really serves a huge a huge value proposition, because, it's chunking your mind.
That's it. Right.
But then you're also giving yourself a break to regenerate your energy so that you're powerful all day.
Cool. Yeah, it does. Thank you. All right. So, let's get into some new stuff now. Let's get into some writing. That was really fascinating, though, actually. Thank you guys for all that. And everyone wants to know about that stuff. So, new stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about persuasion. How many people in here have some sort of psychology background? Raise your hands up higher, please. Lots of, oh, wow. Okay. No, you don't. All right. Thank you. I am not a psychologist. I don't have a psychology background at all. I study human nature. I always have, just like watching people. When I was in high school, I was like a total dork, really shy because I had moved so much. And I wanted to become popular. And I didn't know how. So I watched people, and I sat and watched with how the cheerleaders interacted, and how people got along, and I started mimicking them. And I actually ended up being voted the most confident. I was in the drama club. I was in the band. And it was just, I was a band geek. I spun a rifle. I was in the color guard. But, yeah. So, but anyway, I'm just a student of human nature. I'm not a psychology student, but I do want to tell you some of the things that I do know about persuasion, because it really does make a big difference in your copy. This is called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And Maslow is a psychologist in the 50s, I think, mid-50s, right? And he came up with this hierarchy of how we have to have certain needs met in our life before we can go on to the next level. And the first ones are at the base. We all need this. We all need physical and security. We all have to have comfort and a home and food, just our basic needs. That's the very first thing that has to be met before we can start thinking about, self-actualization, those kinds of things. You can see this pyramid gets more narrow as you go up. We all need these things, the security and the physical. The social, being accepted, the belonging, and the ego, having the better things, being a little higher above your neighbor. Those kinds of things come after you've got your base needs met. Those are the things that are the easiest to sell to. And they are also not to be underestimated. People's sense of belonging is huge. People can't stand to be isolated. If you ever watch Survivor, I'm a total Survivor fan, they have to put this person on an island all by themselves. They hated it. They went crazy. In prisons, when you have to go to solitary confinement, they hate it. It just drives people nuts. But it's just something to be really, really aware of. Being accepted by other people is a very big thing for us. And ego things, having nice things around us, being a little bit better in the social strata than other people. It's a big thing. It's not nice to talk about, but it's very true. And it's what we address in copy a lot of times. Now, self-actualization, you can see, is at the very top, and that's the more spiritual side, the more you've got all these other things under your belt, and now it's time to look at the bigger picture. You can see you have to meet a lot of needs before you get to that spiritual side, which is one of the reasons, in my opinion, it's why it's more difficult to reach that market, because there aren't as many of those people who have all these other things met and satisfied as well. So if you've ever marketed to the spiritual market, it's kind of a tough market. It's getting bigger, it's getting stronger, and I think that's because these other needs are being met. But this is Maslow's philosophy, his hierarchy of needs. Mine is much more basic. In my mind, we are cave people. We still behave like a cave person. There's my caveman. And Psychology Today said our psychology has not changed, has not caught up to our environmental changes. The way we act today is very similar to the way we acted 2,000 years ago, despite all the high tech that goes on. And all the high tech stuff's happened really quickly. We had dial phones just a few decades ago. We didn't have telephones 100 years ago. There's so much technology that's happened really quickly, but we haven't caught up with it mentally, and we still have these basic needs that need to be addressed in the copy. And so what I like to think of to get into the groove of it is, if I were a cave person and I woke up thousands of years ago in a cave without my cell phone or my computer, what would be important to me? And some of those things would be self-preservation. I'd want to eat. I'd want to make sure that I'm safe, that no saber-toothed tigers around. I'm going to make sure I had shelter over my head, that I was warm at night. And once I had those things, which is like in Maslow's, those are the base physical needs, then I'd want to be in a tribe, because I don't want to do it all myself. I'd want to be social. I'd want to have a mate, and I'd want to have children who can come up and take care of me. And once I'm in that tribe, I'd want a higher group status, because the people who are more respected are going to get the better cave. They're going to get the better chance at food. They're going to have more things available to them. When you have more things available to you, you can attract a better mate. You can attract a little more happiness. And there's also, you want to make sure that you're not just the like Jabba the Hutt on top of everything. You want to share. So there's a sense of duty and guilt. Like you want all these wonderful things, but you also want people around you to feel good and comfortable. And these are all very human conditions. So I don't know if any of you psychologists or any of you with backgrounds have anything to add to just this very basic snapshot of the human condition. All right, Vicki, go.
Coming,
Well,
Vicki?
don't go yet. She knows. She's good. She's waiting.
She's had practice.
That's right.
That was great, what you said about Maslow's. And I just wanted to add a little to that. This is something that I teach to my students,
Cool.
and which is really, it's powerful because you have to remember that the Maslow's hierarchy changes. It's fluid. It changes every second. It can change minute by minute. When somebody, they start, they might be a third of the way up. They can come right down to the bottom, and the bottom is it's about basic survival. So when you write your copy, I want you to think about that. Go for the gut punch, go for the pain, because that Maslow's is all about the pain that they're in. When they haven't climbed up the pyramid, there's pain that's involved why they haven't climbed. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You said that really well. I didn't take that into consideration, that the condition does change, that it's fluid. That's a great point.
So if you're running out of, they're not really in pain. Yes, they are. And then when they climb up a rung, what happens when they're knocked down 2 rungs? That's the pain. That's the punch. That's the twist the knife. That you want to address. So there's a lot of pain in there that you can speak to. That's their problem. Now solve it. Now help them climb their hierarchy ladder. That's
Awesome.
Another way to look at it.
Thank you.
One thing I tell people to do is to just watch their thoughts during a day or a couple of days and think about where you are on the ladder. Mm-hmm. Because you'll find that your thoughts go up and down. You might have a really self-actualizing thought at one moment, and then something happens. I don't know, you break a heel or something, and you're right down to the bottom. So you can
That makes sense.
observe yourself, and then you can understand what happens with other people.
That's cool. So when you guys are both addressing the Maslow's needs, you're aware of this, because this is something I've learned this year. I've been doing the Caveman thing for a long time, but that just fits so well, and I did not know that in a day that you can be all over the map. I thought you're kind of solid in there, and that's that's a big aha for me. Thanks. Anybody else have a comment?